Well, it is 11:14 p.m. here on Saturday, September 11th, the year 2021. For those of you in the Eastern time zone, it is Sunday the 12th. It is officially the first Sunday of the National Football League season, but still here in the Midwest, it is college football season, at least for the time being. I'm Zach Berman, and this is episode number 2 of U Stadium's University. I am not in my typical studio of sorts, which is just a code word for my apartment back at school, but I'm actually about an hour and a half south in this little wonderful slice of Americana known as Lake of the Ozarks. Now, a lot has happened today, and a lot of the storylines that really seem to take shape over these first week 0, week 1 parts of the season were just kind of flipped on their head their entirety. And we begin with a team that played 6 days ago. Florida State played they played a week ago. They played Sunday night against Notre Dame. They lost on a field goal in overtime. And talk of the town was Mackenzie Milton coming back from an injury that could have resulted in losing his leg, possibly never being able to walk again. And even though Florida State lost, a lot of the talk was, is FSU back? Well, what if I told you in this cruel and unusual sport that is, in fact, college football, Florida State proceeded to lose on what might have been the single most depressing Hail Mary you will ever see to FCS Jacksonville State. This game was in Tallahassee, and on the final play, a 59-yard Hail Mary, and the Seminoles, a week after going toe-for-toe with Notre Dame, lose an absolute laugher to Jacksonville State. And now you have to start talking about, is Mike Norvell the right man for the job in Tallahassee? Because there are not many games in the world of college football where you lose them and immediately you have to go, oh my God, this dude has to be fired. This is a fireable loss if you are Florida State. If you are Mike Norvell, you cannot – there is no coming back from losing a game like this. It has just been a terrible, and I mean terrible week, or should I say 2 weeks for the ACC, even though today the ACC looked pretty good. Dare I say, everybody that needed to win won. Pittsburgh, a nice win over Tennessee, down good old Rocky Top. Man, Tennessee did not look good at all. Rutgers beat Syracuse 17-7 in what might have been the worst football game I've ever watched in my life. And yes, I'm going to read this off. This is Florida State's first loss to an FCS team since 1978. So, yeah, dark day in Tallahassee for sure. Elsewhere around the ACC, North Carolina, they're ranked number 24th. They're going to stay 24th. They beat Georgia State 59-17. Louisville, a 30-3 win over Eastern Kentucky. NC State looked convincing last week. This week, not so much, as they fall in stark Vegas to the Bulldogs of Mississippi State, 24-10, and number 22 Miami, a close one against a good Sun Belt team in Appalachian State. Boy, did they survive that. The Canes win 25-23. Now we get on to the juicy stuff. And the big, and hold on, before we go any further, I'm receiving word that we do in fact have the clip of this Florida State Hail Mary, and, I could watch it over and over again. Think of the worst Hail Mary defense you have ever seen in your life. Look at the tackling here. You got one guy, two guys, number 3 in Garnet and Gold, he just stops. He doesn't even try. Like, there was such a lack of effort. If you continue to drag the play out, I don't know how far you can get it, but there's going to be a shot of the cheerleaders in FSU, and you just see the looks in their faces. They're just like, oh my goodness. In a way, this feels like the most shocking loss we've seen from a power. Like, Florida State is somewhere in that, you could call them a blue blood. There's a lot of tradition in that program. This is not a team you see lose these kinds of games. I think everybody's just flabbergasted right now. Not that it's not funny to laugh at, but still, you don't see that coming at all. Okay, on to the big guns. Thursday, there was, not much of anything of note. Yesterday, the one-ranked team that played yesterday was number 17, Coastal Carolina, and in the first time ever that a Power 5 school has made their way to Myrtle Beach, it's pretty generous to call Kansas a Power 5 school, but yeah, they came over to play Coastal, and Coastal whooped them 49-22. The Chanticleers, I still don't know what a Chanticleer is. I think it's a kind of bird, but I'll look into that. Coastal wins, and everybody that walks around Myrtle Beach with a nice big mullet, they're happy, happy, happy. Okay. My big gripe with this weekend is, why was a marquee game between two powerhouse blue blood opponents, why was it a midday start in the in the Midwest? This was an 11 o'clock start in Eugene, Oregon. Their Ducks kicked off in Columbus at 9 a.m. I think it is just borderline abhorrent that you have a West Coast team playing that early. They're playing at 9 in the morning their time, but hey, Fox needs to make their big noon money, and the flip side of that is you get to listen to Gus Johnson, and there's how do I say it? I see this as a broadcaster. There's A-level Gus Johnson, there's B-level Gus Johnson, and Gus tends to turn it up for the big games. Well, today he had it, and so did the Ducks. As a Chanticleer is a name given to a rooster, especially in fairy tales per dictionary.com. But yes, the Oregon Ducks, for the first time since 2011, when they went into Stanford's house and beat up on an Andrew Luck quarterback Cardinal team, went on the road and dispatched a top 5 opponent in the AP polls. And this Oregon team is a beast, because when you think of Oregon, you think of Chip Kelly, you think of these fast-paced offenses that put up ridiculous amounts of points, you think of crazy quarterback play, you think of Mariota, you think of Justin Herbert, you think of Dennis Dixon, you think of Darren Thomas if you go back a little bit. Anthony Brown, Oregon's quarterback, he's a game manager. He is nothing short of a game manager. He managed the game to perfection today. He did everything he needed to do. And for the first time ever, Ryan Day loses in the regular season. For the first time ever, Ohio State loses a regular season game broadcasted on Fox. I had to dig that one up. But like I said, this Oregon team, a strange, different beast. This is not your flashy trick play, speed Oregon team of old. This is about almost a very NFL-esque Oregon team. They win in the trenches. They win with great offensive line play, great defensive line play, and a good running game. And the most impressive part is Oregon won this game without Kayvon Thibodeau, who's most likely going to be a top 5 pick in the draft next year. They won it without Justin Flo, who is now a sophomore. He was one of the best linebacking recruits this country's ever seen. He didn't play last year due to COVID. He was out today. Now, who was the MVP for the Ducks? Well, there's 2. C.J. Verdell, their stalwart running back, he definitely earned himself some street cred today. A 3-touchdown performance. He was awesome. Carry the load. And, of course, you've heard of Penei Sewell, of course. He was one of the most talented tackle prospects to ever come out of the draft. Well, his brother, Noah Sewell, is the head of the inside linebacking core for the Ducks, and he showed off and showed out, especially when the team was missing their 2 biggest defensive pieces. Noah Sewell, absolutely phenomenal. And for the Buckeyes, this is kind of a strange year for Ohio State, because you have a quarterback in C.J. Stroud, who I think is good, but he's not on the level of what you expect from Ohio State. And I keep on thinking of it almost like Clemson. When you had Deshaun Watson and then you had Trevor Lawrence come in, you had that year of Kelly Bryant. I think C.J. Stroud is this team's Kelly Bryant, because you just lose Justin Fields, who has been. I mean, I have said it on NFL streams with U Stadium before. I think Justin Fields is going to be fantastic, but he, of course, is going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play at Ohio State. And then next year, Quinn Ewers is coming up, who is a Trevor Lawrence caliber quarterback prospect. And now you just kind of have C.J. Stroud as like the bridge guy. And it's tough, because Stroud has to be the guy when you have these 2 receivers who are going to be entering the draft next year, and Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, that are 2 of the best receivers in college football. I think he's the weak link on this Buckeye team. And first,
we did it again.
And first and foremost, this is the most important part. Congrats to the Ducks. Congrats to Mario Cristobal. Congrats to this program that I've seen lose this game 5 million times. And if you saw right at the end of that game, just like the last time Ohio State lost at home, which was in 2017, of course, Baker Mayfield planted the Oklahoma flag in the 50-yard line. Oregon left a little parting gift for the Buckeyes when they placed a rubber duck in the middle of the O at the 50. So congratulations to the Ducks. That's probably a fun flight back to Eugene. And I think Oregon's going to be top 5 come next week. Now on to everybody else in the top 10. And 1 and 2, there's not a single storyline that changes. Alabama beats up on Mercer. What else is new? Georgia beats up on UAB. What else is new? 3 was Ohio State.
We did it.
We just had that whole discussion. Oklahoma, 76-zip over Western Carolina. Next, 5. Texas A&M. Now, boy, if you don't have red flags and alarm bells ringing for the Aggies, Haynes King, the freshman quarterback for A&M, starts slowly and then gets hurt, bringing in the backup for the Aggies, Zach Calzada, sophomore out of Sugar Hill, Georgia, and he did just enough to will Texas A&M back, and eventually the Aggies were able to escape Denver with an important but nail-biting, concerning 7 win. We've talked about maybe this could be the Texas A&M team that beats Alabama. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to be close. Alabama's going to come to College Station and do what they do every time they go to College Station. They're just going to beat up on them like always. So A&M survives. The number 6 team in the land.
Wealth is breaking ground on you.
I don't know how a team doesn't look good winning 49-3 over South Carolina State, but Clemson just didn't seem to fit the bill, and a lot of that falls on DJ Uiagalelei. 14 for 24, 171 yards, a touchdown, a pick. He did not look good. And a lot of it was just, well, obviously South Carolina State's ridiculously outmatched here, but Clemson just, they still don't look like, I don't think they're going to miss the playoff per se, because their schedule is about as easy as a dozen vanilla frosted cupcakes, but I don't think they can beat the Blue Bloods this year. This is just not the year for Clemson. As of now, that can change. I mean, it always changes. Cincinnati, they started slow over Murray State, but eventually the Bearcats figured it out and put a pounding on Murray State, winning 42-7. So there's definitely some concern down in Bearcat land. But believe it or not, this game was not the biggest storyline in Cincinnati. We'll get back to that in a bit. Number 8. Who was number 8? Is it going to flash on my screen? It typically does. It was Notre Dame, and did they have a scare today? Beating the Toledo Rockets 32-29. Now, there was a lot going on in this game, especially for a game against Toledo. First of all, it was broadcasted on Peacock, not NBC. So you had to pay for the streaming service to watch the game, which I think is terrible. I also think it's the future of sports broadcasting. So, not happy with that. But the big storyline here, besides Notre Dame crumbling down the stretch, was Jack Cohn dislocating a finger, popping it back in, and throwing the game-winning touchdown to Michael Mayer in the dying seconds of the fourth quarter. So a tough win for the Irish. I think they'll stay put at 8. But the theme of this week has been good teams playing down to competition. And once you start getting into the rest of these rankings, it's going to become way, way more apparent that this college football season is going to be a weird and wacky one. And I stand by that 100%. Now, the number 10 team in the land is one team that did not play down to competition. I was never sold on Iowa State this year. I wanted to be. I would have liked to be. But the team I was sold on, I said this on the Hurricane Ida stream. I have been confident in this for a long, long time. This felt like one of those every 4 years where guess who's going to be really good? The Iowa Hawkeyes. And they looked absolutely dominant. The score was 27-17. The game did not feel that close. Iowa State just was always a step behind. They just didn't have a rush. Brock Purdy, the much praised quarterback for the Cyclones, he was benched after going 13 for 27, 138 yards, 3 interceptions. Just a terrible, terrible showing for the Cyclones. And for the Hawkeyes, with Ohio State looking shaky, there is a real chance that Iowa State could win the Big Ten. Now, I know it's week 2. I know a lot can still happen. I think the Iowa Hawkeyes can win the Big Ten. I think they can win the Big Ten. And if Iowa goes and wins the Big Ten with a loss or even no losses, who knows what that could mean? Could we see Iowa in the playoffs? Well, the team behind them might have something to say about it, and that's number 11, Penn State. Penn State did their job against a good Ball State team. Ball State put up somewhat of a fight, but they were no match for 100,000 strong at Beaver Stadium, and the Nittany Lions wiped the floor with them. 44-13, your final from State College. Good win for Penn State as they get ready to host next week's whiteout against Auburn. College game day going to Penn State next week for the first time in a little bit. And that brings us to number 12. That was already Ohio State. We already had that discussion. 13. Look convincing despite putting up 665 yards of offense in Tampa against USF. Emory Jones did not have a good game, and Florida's got a quarterback controversy. Florida has a problem. Emory Jones was throwing interceptions. Yes, we know that Florida's had to reinvigorate their entire offense after losing Kyle Pitts, Kyle Trask, and Kadarius Toney, but to put up that many points, that many yards, and still feel concerned, I'm not sold on the Gators. I don't think anybody is sold on the Gators right now. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on them because they're only 2 weeks away from having to play Alabama, and that will say a lot about where they are headed. They're going to get smoked. Actually, that's next week. So that is next week at 3:30. It's a CBS game, and yeah, no, that's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Number 14, this game's actually at half. We have another upset on our hands, potentially, maybe. Not a believer in the Pac-12 this year, except for Oregon. Oregon is looking the part for sure.
Some carriers
Everybody
give you so
else?
little for your older busted phone. Not Verizon. You dunk it, crash it.
I don't know what's going to happen because right now, USC, they're having that game where everybody makes you wonder, I think this might be the time you have to fire Clay Helton. 21-10 Stanford, who got smoked by Kansas State last week. Stanford beating them on the road. USC not looking convincing. Keaton Slovis, you're telling me this guy is a first-round draft pick potentially? I mean, I've never been sold on Keaton Slovis, but like 11 for 17, 97 yards. Just USC just does not look like they have it tonight. 15. Number 15 team is, drum roll, please, Wisconsin. No. It was Texas. Oh, boy. A warm welcome to the SEC, indeed, for the Longhorns. As they go in one of the premier programs' houses of the conference. And by premier program, I mean Arkansas, who has been utterly putrid for the last 5 to 10 years. And Texas got whooped. 40-21. The Longhorns rushed the field. This was an absolute nightmare for the Longhorns, absolute nightmare for Steve Sarkisian. What a nightmare for the program, and what a turn of events for Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks, who really looked the part. Maybe this is the year Arkansas is a threat. Who knows? What I do know is that Fayetteville must be going ballistic. You're not even allowed to rush the field in the SEC. Arkansas just, when the Razorbacks are good, that is a tough place to play. That is a very tough place to play. And man, I cannot wait to read some of those Reddit board posts from Texas fans coming up tomorrow, because that is going to be prime time entertainment for sure. I forget, there's a new Twitter account that goes and finds the message boards from all these college football fans, and all they do are just complain and whine. And hold on, I gotta see if I can find this. If I can find it, I'll tell you, you have to follow them. Like, they are message board geniuses, at board geniuses. That's their handle. And their bio just has hashtag fire everybody. That's it. Just fire everybody. And you look through these. Oh, here's one on Florida State. Florida State football is dead to me completely. I cannot believe what I just saw. Their program is dead. There is no coming back from this, not for a decade or longer, very best case. Wow, I'm now on the fire Mike Norvell camp. Another sorry season. Looking forward to 2022. Another wasted year. Thanks, team, for sucking again. We are now officially Nebraska. Wow. Completely unacceptable. This is how you get fired. Yada, yada, yada. And you can go down the list. The honeymoon is over for Ryan Day. Hashtag fire everybody. Day couldn't win with a generational QB. He looks very mediocre when he doesn't have first-round talent. Obviously, this is all on him. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, people are just ridiculous. Our fan base is in shambles, and who knows who will be coaching by then. Ryan Day has officially turned us into a cream puff program. Weak in the trenches means you get beat. Texas. I'm not sure Tom Herman ever had a 2.0. This is unacceptable. Hashtag fire everybody. Hashtag hook 'em. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, people are ridiculously delusional when it comes to college football. You will never not have people just overreact about, well, anything. Number 16 team in the land. Who's 16? Sorry, I went off on that whole tangent there, but I just think it's funny to see Texas lose, man. Horns down all day, every day. I don't even have any vendettas against Texas. I just, like I said, it's funny to watch them fail. It is funny to watch that program just implode on a day-to-day basis. Number 17. Why are these games just not in order? This is going to really bother me. Oh, yeah, 17 was Coastal. Number 18, that is Wisconsin. They took care of business. Number 19. 19 is Virginia Tech. They took care of business. 20 is Ole Miss. That Ole Miss offense looks scary. They beat up on Louisville. They beat up on Austin Peay today. I mean, I couldn't tell you anything about Austin Peay, but look out for Matt Corral as a dark horse Heisman candidate. Keep that name in mind. 21, that game's going on right now, the good old Holy War. And what a day of ups and downs for the Pac-12. You have the big high of Oregon beating Ohio State. Now you have ranked USC losing, ranked Arizona State. I'll get to that in a second, getting played tough by UNLV. And now you have Utah losing in Provo to BYU. Now, granted, BYU lost. Well, they lost the heart of their program in Zach Wilson, but I think they really do have a good core left over. UCLA was a 16th ranked team. They did not play today because they played week 0. Kalani Sitake, their head coach, was just extended 5 years. And games like this are why. BYU is going to be a problem. I say that with all my heart. I think they are a good program, and I'm excited to see what happens in the next few years. And I'll get to that, like I said, in a little bit. We already went over Miami. They beat App State. They already went over. We did not go over Arizona State. They're getting played tough right now. They're beating UNLV 14-10. Not looking the part. Not looking the part at all. And there's just a lot of concerning performances by these ranked teams. This almost strikes me as a year where anything could happen. Other than Bama and Georgia, every single team looks beatable. Every single team looks like they might be able to pull something off. Every single team has weaknesses. Every single team has glaring issues, and every single team is due for a loss at some point. And that's the beauty of college football. It's any given Saturday. 24, North Carolina, they beat Georgia State 59-17. And last but not least, 25, Auburn, a 62-0 win over Alabama State. That's your top 25. Now, what do I think changes? I think our top 5 next week is going to be 1 Alabama, 2 Georgia, 3 Oklahoma, 4 I think you move A&M down a little bit. I think you move Clemson up a bit. So put Clemson at 4 for me. Oregon goes to 5. A&M goes to 6. You bump Cincinnati down. They had a tough time. Iowa's going to be top 7 or 8. Iowa will be moving up. Notre Dame, I think, stays put. Penn State, I think they move up. Who else do I think rises? Florida's going to stay where they are. I think we see a lot of teams drop off. Arizona State loses, they're done. I think Miami's going to go unranked because App State played them so tough. Texas is going to go to the 20s at best. They're probably dropping off. I think Coastal Carolina moves up 1 or 2. I think we're going to see a lot of new teams. Now, which teams do I think are going to be ranked come next week? I'll start with the team that beat my school, the Kentucky Wildcats, as they defeated the Missouri Tigers in a really, really good game. 35-28, the Wildcats defeated Mizzou, and the name of the game is Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky, transfer from Penn State, native of Madison, Connecticut. He did the part tonight, but man of the hour, Chris Rodriguez Jr., who just exploited a terrible Missouri rushing defense. 27 carries, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was rocking. Tough loss for the Tigers. I wish they had a defense, but beggars can't be choosers now, can they? And other than that, the one big thing to talk about was what happened to FSU, and I don't know how the heck that happens, but it was certainly funny. It was honestly kind of wonderful. Heisman candidates going into week number 3. Bryce Young is 100% up there. Bryce Young is my Heisman leader right now. I mean, Spencer Rattler is not out of the picture whatsoever. He played a good game today, but it was against a nobody. Show up against a better team, and maybe I'll consider him a little bit more. Anybody from Iowa State has been knocked off. I would like to say Kayvon Thibodeau has a shot at becoming a defensive Heisman, but him not playing today probably drops him off that list. Any of the Ohio State receivers, can't put him on right now. It's too soon to say, but I think you have to just say Bryce Young is the guy right now. I mean, he's methodical. It's almost kind of shocking in a sense. Bama's got, I don't know where they find these guys. I don't know how Saban just does it again and again and again. To get out of these one-off out of conference games, a lot more home and homes, and a lot more conference v. conference ranked games. The big one, of course, in Happy Valley on Saturday night, that is Auburn and Penn State right now, 25-11. That game, 6:30 Central Standard Time kick on ABC. Other than that, your only other ranked game is Bama, Florida. But there are definitely intriguing matchups. Oh boy, Nebraska plays Oklahoma. That's going to be fun. Nebraska won today. Good for them. Congratulations. Cincinnati plays Indiana. Can Indiana bounce back after getting run out of the building by Iowa. We shall see. 2-0 Purdue against Notre Dame. The Boilermakers, 2-0. That's something to keep an eye on. Michigan State, also 2-0. They go off to Miami, who survived App State today. South Carolina, Georgia. Oh, boy, that's going to be a mess. South Carolina almost lost to ECU. Utah, San Diego State. That is upset central right there. San Diego State is a nightmare of a place to play. I don't know why anybody would schedule there. And I see another potential scare for Fresno State because they play UCLA, and UCLA, of course, took out LSU last week. That could be a problem game. I could totally see it. Now, I am going to look. This is something I always like to do, and now that we have a bit of an idea of where this season is shaping up to go, I'm going to predict every college game day location for the rest of the season. Of course, game day is already confirmed. They are going to Happy Valley next week for Auburn, Penn State. So that leaves us up to week 4. Now, week 4, who is ranked and who is ranked? And right now, the only ranked versus ranked game is Notre Dame, Wisconsin. That's also the Fox game, and it's in Chicago. I think ESPN is going to want to be on campus for that. So I don't think it goes to that game. Usually ESPN will go to an FCS school, or they'll do the one-off thing like they did with Times Square or something like that. But I don't see them going to a Power 5 game week 4. I really don't. Where do I see them going? Would this be the time where they go to North Dakota State? They love going up there. I mean, I've been to Fargo. Fargo's pretty cool. But I don't know where you go that week. That's a tough week to pick a game for. It's definitely not a landmark week by any stretch of the imagination for college football. So that is a maybe. If I had to guess, that is a bad slate of games. I actually have no idea. If I had to guess, I'd just say it's Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Why not? But at the same time, the odds of that happening pretty low. I would have said Clemson, NC State, but NC State lost. So, yeah, chalk that up for a group of 5 game or something along those lines. Week 5, where is everybody going? Ooh. If Arizona State and UCLA stay undefeated until that point, it could go there. If Cincinnati and Notre Dame stay undefeated that week, game day could go to one of 2 places. It could either go to LA, go to Pasadena, or go to South Bend. So it's one of those 2 spots for week 5. Week 6, it's almost certainly going to be at Alabama A&M. Assuming those 2 teams stay undefeated, game day is going to College Station that week. It is not going to OU, Texas. It is not going to Georgia, Auburn. It is not going to Notre Dame, Virginia Tech. The only other chance would be it could go to Penn State, Iowa. But Alabama A&M, you don't miss that game. Boy, week 6 is a dandy for college football. Week 7, that's another weird week. That's another not very good week. Where do I think it could go week 7? Well, this is a bit of an out-of-the-box pick here, but I think they could go to either Athens if Kentucky stays put, to see Kentucky, Georgia, or maybe you go. I had the game on the tip of my tongue. I just completely blanked on it. Oh, my goodness. Where was I going to say? Oh, my gosh. Shoot, this is going to bother me. Oh, you could go to Virginia Tech for Pitt, Virginia Tech. I don't think both those teams are going to stay undefeated. But the one I was eyeing was maybe Auburn, Arkansas. If Arkansas is the real deal, as the Hogs are probably going to be ranked come next week. Game day's return to Fayetteville, that would be something. Week 8. Where's it going for week 8? USC Notre Dame, always a possibility, but USC's actually got to live up to the hype in order for that to be the case. Oregon UCLA, that might be the weekend they go to Pasadena. That is going to be a huge game. Chip Kelly's revenge, maybe. Always a fun storyline. I would have said Ohio State, Indiana. Indiana's not living up. Halloween weekend. Georgia, Florida could be it. North Carolina, Notre Dame could be it. Colorado, Oregon, maybe. Penn State, Ohio State, that's always a good game, but Ohio State's already got that loss. UCLA, Utah. Ooh. Ole Miss and Auburn, that could be good. Yeah, there's not many guarantee games. There's always a couple that you look at where you're just like, ooh, game day is going there. And does Week 10 have any of them? Auburn A&M, that could be one. Do they go to College Station twice? Does A&M warrant going to College Station twice? Florida, South Carolina, that's a possibility. Liberty, Ole Miss, out of the box pick. But would they go to a Liberty game? That's one worth thinking about. Week 11. Week 11 in college football. That's so far out. I feel like it's going to be here in a blink. So it's tough to predict anything. I mean, that's just Cupcake City. How the hell does UConn have to play Clemson? What the heck? Why? Just why? I don't want to watch that. That's disgusting. Like, schedule if you're a blue blood, freaking schedule good teams. They could go to any game this week and it would not be surprising. Maybe Michigan, Penn State. Michigan, I haven't talked to them. I haven't talked about Michigan at all. They took out Wisconsin, or no, they took out Washington today, convincingly. Man, Washington's got a huge problem. But the Wolverines look good. Probably the best day to be a Michigan Wolverine in a long time, with a primetime win for Maize and Blue, and for Ohio State, a big fat loss on national TV. So yeah, keep an eye on Michigan. They're playing for Harbaugh's job, so that's always something. Week 12, Oregon, Utah, that stands out. Iowa State, Oklahoma, but Iowa State's not impressing me at all. Michigan State, Ohio State, SMU, Cincinnati, that could be good. Could they go to Cincinnati? And could they go to UCLA, USC? Week 13, that's typically your Iron Bowl week. Alabama, Auburn, that's always there. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. Penn State, Michigan. Ooh, Michigan State's also 2-0. So keep an eye on that Michigan State game. I know they're both unranked right now. Wouldn't surprise me if they're both in the top 15 by the time that game rolls along. So to my playoff picks, stay put. That's what I'm going to leave with tonight. Who do I think is going to be in the playoff come December? Oregon has now entered that picture. For the time being, because of that Duck defense, Oregon is now in my playoff picture as the 4 seed. I'm going to go 1 Alabama, 2 Georgia, 3 Oklahoma, and 4 the Ducks. So that's U Stadium's University for this week. Next week, we're going to have a clearer picture of what exactly is going on with these Pac-12 teams. Who's for real? Who isn't? We will find out. Until then, enjoy professional football tomorrow. I know I can't wait for the NFL. I can't wait to complain about the Giants like it's every other year at this point. And until then, stay classy, guys, and we will see you next week.